What's going on, everyone? This is your man Isaiah IE. How are you doing today? I hope everybody is having a blessed day. Really a blessed day. Today's a good day. Yep, it is. It's a good day. God is good. Hope everyone can say the same. Hope everybody hasn't gotten wet, because it did rain a little bit, but I'm going to tell you what, it feels good out here. Yep, it does. It's a good day. It's a good day. I would like to talk to you guys real quick about something that basically you can say I was just thinking about after a while today. And we're going to dive straight into this. Because this is something that a lot of people do. And we got to be careful about doing this. How many know that if you're not careful, you will be so entangled with the things you go through in life, it'll keep you from appreciating what God has done for you when He finally comes through for you? Yep. If you're not careful, the only thing you have to think of, or the only thing you have to speak of, is the stuff you went through. And we're talking about even after God done blessed you. So you mean to tell me God finally comes through for you, but the only thing you have to talk about is the stuff you went through. And even after it's over, you're sitting in a place of better. God done moved for you. He did better for you. But all you have to talk about is when you were in another place. You don't want to be like that. Nope, you don't. So if I were to title this, help me, Lord. If I were to title this, I would call it, what would I call this? Because we need to really speak about that. Like, it's a serious thing. Just need a name for it. Bear with me. If I was to call this particular one anything, I would call it when you're out, when God brings you out, stay out. Yep. When God brings you out, stay out. That could be taken in a variety of different ways, but this is the way I'm going to take it. God brought you out of financial debt and poverty. Okay? He brought you out of that. You're free from that, right? You done went from being broke to having millions. So, why God do that for you? But the only thing you have to talk about is when you were broke. Ain't nothing worse than somebody who used to be broke, now living in a palace. But when you go visit them at the palace, the only thing they got to talk about is when they were broke. You mean to tell me God ain't done nothing for you from then to now? Clearly He has. You're living in a place of plenty. But the only thing you got to talk about is when you were in a place of when you didn't have. When you're out, stay out. When God bring you out, do not put yourself in a place where the only thing you have to speak about is the current, well, not the current, the things you used to go through. That's like if you are used to being in relationships and you used to get cheated on by everybody you met. Like, God forbid, you know what I mean? But some people can say that. And then God bless you with that one good, beautiful, or handsome, faithful man or faithful woman that love you no matter what. And you get with them. And the only thing you got to talk about, even with them, is when you used to get cheated on and played so badly. See, God done finally came through for you. He's moved for you, okay? You're no longer in the place you used to be. Now you've been blessed. Why you got the blessing? And now you sitting up here only can talk about when you used to be going through. You got the new person, and all you could talk about is, well, I remember when Jody cheated on me, Jody. Baby boy reference. I remember when Sandy lied to me. I remember when Joseph played me. I remember when Barbara left me. Did God not give you a nice, good, faithful, loving person? And even with them, all you got to talk about is where you used to be. When you're out, stay out. We do not need to be the kind of people who God will take from Egypt to the promised land, like the children of Israel in the Bible. Okay, they were slaves in Egypt. And what did God do? He took them from Egypt and brought them into the promised land, a place of plenty. And you know what? The worst thing you or I could ever do is be in a position where God done bring us out of Egypt and now we're in the promised land, but the only thing we got to talk about is when we was in Egypt. I mean, like God ain't done nothing. We have been brought out. We're free from our oppressors. We're free from bondage. We're free from slavery. We're free. God has done something magnificent and significant. But the only thing we got to talk about is when we were slaves. So the conversation never changes. Got a whole bunch of free people that can't do nothing but talk about when they were in chains. Do you hear how messed up that is? Why is it messed up? Because it robs God of getting the glory he deserves. Yes, you did suffer. Yes, you did go through. But has God not done anything for you? Did he not bring you out? So the only thing you got to talk about is when you were going through. We don't need to be those kinds of people. The only thing you got to talk about, or the only thing that stays on your mind, is when you were suffering. Like God did not bring you out. And he gets robbed of proper praise and glory. Because where I should be thanking him for coming through, I just keep on replaying and revisiting when I suffered, when I didn't have enough, when people used to treat me all kinds of ways, and all of this stuff. Like God ain't never done nothing between then and now, and clearly he did. Why are you in a position where you are enjoying the blessings of God, or should be, or at least you're living in it? You're living in plenty, you got love, you got health, you got wealth, you got all of these things, but you live in it daily, and the only thing you got to speak out your mouth is where you used to be. And that stays on your mind entirely too much. You ought to be thanking God every single day. The sufferings and the trials that you went through to get to where you currently are when God finally come through for you, that should not be the only thing on your mind. Let me wake up every day and say, oh, Lord, I thank you for everything that you've done for me, because you know where I used to be and where you brought me from. But I'm saying that with a mind that has always stayed upon what I went through. And then I talk to people, and that's all I got to say. Well, hey, I remember when I didn't da-da-da this, and I remember when I didn't da-da-da that. You get tired of hearing people. Can I be real? We're not discrediting nobody's testimony. But if you see somebody living in a mansion, once again, if you see somebody living in a mansion, for example, and the only thing they ever got to talk about when they invite you over is when they were poor, you're going to get to a point where you like, oh my God, God has done so much for you. But every time I come by, you always got another poor man story. You're not even there anymore. Wasn't that 15, 10, 70 years ago? And you still talking about it like it was yesterday. You don't want to be that way. I don't want to be that way. When God brings you out, stay out. Stay out mentally. Stay out emotionally. Don't keep replaying that in your head. If anything, it's only supposed to serve as a testimony of God's goodness, grace, and mercy towards you. You're not supposed to keep replaying it. Then you're going to tire people out. Oh, I remember when I didn't have no shoes, and I used to walk all over the world barefoot. You mean to tell me that's all you got to talk about while you showing me your 1,000 closet shoe collection? Every time I see you, you got shoes on your feet. But also every time I see you, all you can do is talk about when you didn't. Don't be traumatized by the things you go through to the point of where you don't give God proper praise when he brings you out. Now, I'm not being I'm not being non-understanding, because there are some people who go through things in life and they are traumatized by it, and that's when God got to do a healing so he can take that out of your mouth. Sometimes God has to take the sting and the taste of what we go through out of our mouths. Otherwise, we'll be living in palaces and can't do nothing but talk about when we were poor while in the palace. This is one of the reasons why my prayer is, Lord, bless us to the point of where we can't complain about absolutely nothing. Because that shouldn't be the main focus of our life anymore. You mean to tell me God finally come through for you, but your conversation piece is only when you used to suffer? Like nothing has happened. Do you have any idea how sad that is? There are people who are living in their greater, living in their better, but when you talk to them, they talk like they're still in suffering as if it happened yesterday. Singing the same old sad song, and God done delivered or blessed you. You ain't got nothing new to say. When God brings you out, stay out. In a variety of ways, stay out. Don't keep replaying the issue in your mind. Yes, miss, once upon a time, you used to get dogged out by all kinds of guys. But didn't God bless you with a wonderful, faithful, strong, working husband? Why are you still talking about what all those other guys did to you? Like God never came through for you. Change what you say. You've been blessed now. Sir, let me tell you something, man. You know what it's like not to have. You know what it's like to struggle. You know what it's like to grind. But God done put you in a better place now. And you don't even gotta work as hard as you used to, because that's just his goodness. Why you still got to talk like you in the grip and grind? Like you still got to rake and work the way you used to when you didn't have nothing, and God done gave you the best of everything he could give anybody. But you still act like you don't have anything. You have to have something that comes out of your mouth that would be able to edify people. It can't just stay on the suffering. It can't. It can't. It cannot just stay on the suffering. If all I got to talk about is when I went through, but I don't never bring no after effect of how God brought me out, after a while, you're not going to want to hear nothing I got to say. You want to know why? Because there are so many people going through so many things. But if you stop at the suffering, there's no hope. We could talk all day about how somebody getting cheated on. We could talk all day about how somebody poor and broke. We can talk all day about how somebody ain't got no job, and how somebody ain't got no family, don't got no love, sick in their body. That's the suffering. But where comes the part where we uplift people with hope? In spite of these things, what can God do for us? Has he done anything lately for you worth noting? Think about it. Because you can get so caught up in what you have dealt with, it will keep you blindsided. Yeah, Lord, you blessed me with this house, but I just can't get off the fact that I once didn't have nothing. You done blessed me with a wonderful mate, but I just can't get off the fact that once upon a time I used to get treated so badly by people. I come from a broken family, and I can't even give you praise properly, even though you've given me a lovely one, because I'm stuck on where I came from. You're living in the promised land with a mind stayed on Egypt. Come on, somebody. Don't be that way. Don't be that way. Don't do it. Don't be that way. When God come through for you, bless his name with wholeful and willful gladness. Don't keep rehearsing what you went through. Yeah, you had to go through to get there. It was supposed to make you stronger. It was supposed to make you better, increase your faith, increase your endurance. But you won't gonna stay there. So why, when God finally come through for you, you talk like you still there? You don't want to be like that. Nope. Ain't nothing worse than being around somebody blessed and all they ever got to talk about is like they're not. So Isaiah IE, you are blessed, but every time you talk to people, all you ever got to do is tell them about when you didn't have nothing or when you were sad, couldn't pick your head up. But we all seeing you living in a blessed place and you ain't never got nothing beyond your past sufferings to say. There ain't no hope in that. You don't got nothing else to say. You're not even there anymore, but that's all you got to talk about. You don't want to be that kind of person. You don't want to be that kind of person. When God brings you out, stay out. And I could make a whole nother video talking about this in a whole nother way. But I'm just saying, don't get caught up like that. Don't get caught up. When God brings you out, stay out. Stay out mentally, okay? Don't keep on rehearsing it like you still there. You living in a better place with a mind still on where you used to be. And how many years ago was that? Like, come on, you don't want to be that way. You get caught up in your feelings over your past sufferings like you still there. Didn't God do something for you worth praise now? You're not there anymore. It's almost like that old saying. You know how some people go to prison. I've seen it on movies. That's the only reason why I'm saying. Some people go to prison. It's funny, though. Sometimes it can be funny, depending on how it's done. Like on the movie Friday, the third one with Cat Williams. That's my man. What was it? It's Friday, next Friday, Friday after next. Terry Crews, the big guy, he was coming after Cat Williams. And Cat Williams was like, listen, why are you acting like that? You not in prison no more. You trying to come after me like you still locked up in the pen. You out. Like, be done with all that. Be done with all that. God brought you out. Be done with all that. You're healed now. Be done with all that. You ain't got to keep acting like you sick or you can't do nothing but remember when you were sick and he done healed you. Be done with all that. You know what it is to lack. You know what it is to suffer. You know what it is not to have enough. But God done gave you plenty. Be done with all that. Don't stay there when you know God brought you out. If you know he brought you out of Egypt, why do you keep rehearsing the mindset and the way you used to live when you were in Egypt? You're in a palace now. You're in better now. You're in plenty now. Why all you got to talk about is when you were broke? God done something for you. Be done with all that. We're not knocking nobody's testimony, and people have suffered some unimaginable things. But don't stay there. When God brings you out, stay out. Be free. You gotta be free, man. Otherwise, we gonna be a whole bunch of people that God deliver, and we ain't never gonna have no other song to sing other than when we were not delivered. We gonna still be talking to people about how when we used to have nothing. Now, there's a difference, how? There's a difference talking like that when you're trying to tell somebody a testimony and give God glory. And that's the difference. There's a difference when somebody is saying, yeah, once upon a time I was broke. Once upon a time I was down and out. Once upon a time I was suicidal. But here's the thing. There's a but after that. But God. What that does is change the nature of the whole conversation, because it doesn't stay on the suffering. You have a story. Yeah, you suffered. Yeah, you went through, but there's a but. What's the but? But God. He delivered. He did something significant. And now I don't have to just stay on the suffering. So it doesn't end on when I was broke. It doesn't end on when I used to get treated bad. It doesn't end when I wanted to kill myself. Because there are some people that could just talk eons on that stuff, and they're not even there anymore. But it's a difference when you talk about that stuff, but then you change the nature of the conversation with a but God. Because then you take the conversation off of your sufferings, and then you go into what God did for you in spite of your sufferings. Yup. And we stroll it in this parking lot, talking about the goodness of God, because we don't want to be those kinds of people. Yeah, we got stories of stuff that happened to us. But when God brings you out, stay out. You know what? Thank you. Thank you, Lord. When God brings you out, live like you're out. That's the official title of this. When God brings you out, live like you're out. It ain't no point in you being healed, set free, and delivered, but you still talk like you in bondage. You still walk like you in bondage. You still act like you in bondage, and God been delivered you. When God bring you out, live like you're out. Ain't nothing worse than somebody who was once in jail being set free, but you got the freedom. But you're living in it like you're in jail still. There are no more chains on you. You have been delivered. You have been set free. Live in the freedom. Live in the freedom. You don't want to be like that. You don't want to be like that. Nope. So this is what we are getting ready to do. We are getting ready to pray, because that is a real issue. Because there are people who live that way. God been done something significant for you, and you sitting up here unable to properly enjoy it because you got a mindset like you're not even out of what he been brought you out of. You don't want to live that way, man. It robs you of joy, and it robs God of proper glory. You don't want to do that. He been did it for you. Why all you ever got to talk about is where you used to be. Why all you ever got to talk about is when you didn't have nothing. And you do it like God never did nothing for you. Listen, it's actually a slap in the face. I'm going to keep talking about my sufferings like God never came through. We pray that nobody would do that, or for those who have done it, they would stop. God deserves proper glory for the things he has done.